Amie, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, John. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you. Now, where can we can mention the name of the school, right? We did before.
We did before. Yep.
It's Settamocha Middle School in
Yep.
Dover Foxcroft.
Yep. It's SAD 68.
SAD 68, right. I thank you for sending me the minutes of the
Yes, the
meeting.
last school board meeting.
Yeah, I will not. I appreciate that, and I will not mention any names, just
Sure.
so you feel secure about that.
That's good.
But it is interesting, some of the things they discuss. Before we get going, I did have a question about a couple of things here.
Sure.
And I'm sure one of these is union-based. First of all, what the heck, what is gender equity training?
Mhm.
That
That's what they're having everybody do, I guess, in
Okay.
the schools. If you're in the school system, you have to do that right now.
Now that's
Because that
not
was on the bottom of the minutes, correct?
right, yeah.
Yeah, so that was, I guess the school board even needs to take this training.
So this is not students. This is just
Nope,
Okay.
not yet. They haven't started implementing any of this technically yet,
all right.
to my knowledge.
I find it hard to believe these are adults.
I agree.
I mean, gender, by the time we're adults, we know
Yep.
what gender is. We know there's boy, there's girl, there's man, there's woman. And there you go. And, people have different influences and different likes and dislikes, but we accept that naturally.
Right.
Or we don't. It's up to our opinion.
Well, my whole take on this is, I said, yes, there's two genders, and no person is like another person. We're all unique,
Right.
correct?
Yes.
So we don't have to label everything, and we don't have to label children at the age of 12 and 13. Why can't they just be unique in themselves? Why do we have to teach this, and why do we have to go there? I don't fit in one of the boxes. I may be a bit of a Christian, and I'm a bit of a rebel, so I don't fit in just one box,
Of course not.
and I never want to.
You were like,
I don't want that for my children. I want my children to think, be free thinkers, think for themselves, and I don't want them to be programmed by anyone.
and this is wrong. I mean, this
Right.
is absolutely wrong. It's social engineering at its very basic, at its very base level, actually, in kids.
Hmm.
So
I would agree.
at least in college, students should be old enough, and so many of them aren't, we know, but
I know.
students should be old enough to decide, well, this is not what these people are telling me here. It's not right, because I don't agree with it. But people are so moldable, even as young adults. But kids revere teachers, and this is a sad place we're at. So
It is bad.
that's gender equity training. Do you have any idea what that consists of? Have you talked to anybody about
So at the very beginning of all of this, when this all started, when we went to the school board on October 6th, our message back from the superintendent was that there would be starting a new committee, and this is, I believe, their new committee, and I wrote it down. It's DEI, and that is the diversified. Let's see, I think I sent it to you too. It's DEI, diversified equity and inclusion.
Oh yeah, you did send me that.
Yeah.
I haven't looked at it yet. Yeah.
That did get on the school board. That got on for a vote for November's meeting, and that was, of course, approved. And that's why us few parents, did not go to that meeting, because we already got the wind that it was already approved. A few of the moms lost a little wind in their sail, and so we decided that we couldn't go to that meeting. I couldn't go by myself. I did find out that there's one child on this committee, and I'm wondering if you could guess which child might be on that committee with adults.
Mm.
It's the one child that this is all surrounded around.
Right. Yeah, I knew that's what it was.
Yep.
And so because of one child,
Yes.
it's they've got to involve every kid in the school and teach them how to deal with one child rather than teaching the one child. I mean,
Right.
I think it's okay to say, everybody's different.
We are.
Accept everybody for what they are.
I agree.
If a boy likes to dress in dresses, you know, that's just ignore it or embrace it or whatever. Just accept it. You don't make fun. You don't bully.
No,
There are bigger fish to fry.
I agree.
And this is at the expense, in your mind, it sounds like, it's at the expense of academics and curriculum.
I'm afraid. I don't think that children this year, because of COVID and COVID restrictions and only going to school 2 days a week in person,
Right.
I really don't think that our children are learning anything at the school this year.
Wow.
I think that they're learning how to do all these pronunciations on gender, and they're learning how to wear a mask.
Wow.
And otherwise than that, I don't think that they're learning. I know my children struggled last year, and that was just a little snippet of what we're dealing with this year. We're trying to school a little at home and school a little at school. But I do have, like, one of the mom's emails back was actually stated that the principal said, we cannot teach math, history, science, and all of that until we can help these children with their mental health.
Excuse me?
Yes. So I'm like, what's going on in that school? The teachers have left the building. Like,
Wow.
What is going on? We send our kids to school for an education and not an overreach in an education. Like one mom said it, I really liked how she said it. She goes, I go grocery shopping for groceries. I go to church and pray. You know, I go clothes shopping for clothes.
Right.
The schools are not a one-stop shopping.
No.
They're overstepping, they're overreaching, and they are completely cutting parents out of the discussion.
Oh,
I
yeah.
wrote many emails, and not one of them ever addressed the fact that my son is not being allowed in the school under what I believe is appropriate for his age. And
Wow.
all we ever wanted from the very beginning was an option. Just give me the option button. I'll take whatever you give me. I said, I don't want him to do this, but put him in the broom closet. At this point, it's like all I wanted was an option. And every wall that's put up says there's no option because these are the posters that your son must see. And that's not okay. I didn't know that our constitutional freedom stopped at the outside of a school. I did not know that.
Well, there is no inherent right to teach the kids anything outside of academics.
Right.
And you as a parent do have a say, and for them to arbitrarily shut you down is overstepping their bounds. Now, I want to read this thing you sent me.
Sure.
These are our kids.
Yep.
Now this is a local piece that was come up with here in this area.
So we have had some good strides. The school might be ignoring us, but there's families that are on the move now, and they are listening.
Okay.
And they are not happy. We had a handful of people. We had a little meeting, and we had a handful of people show up. And there's a lot of interest. A lot of families are not happy with this year. They're not happy at all. And that was one of the moms decided, I'll make up a flyer. I said, perfect. Giving out the information so parents can choose for themselves what they want their kids to learn in a school setting. And so we intend to we're going to print those off and then hand them out either, I think it's Monday. The plan would be Monday, Tuesday. We plan to bring them up to the school and hand them out to families so that they're aware of what is going on.
So mental health and gender studies, are the teachers at Setamosha even qualified to be teaching this?
So I was going to touch on that too. The reality is that what I've been looking into, a guidance counselor and a psychotherapist are two different entities. You cannot teach this stuff if you do not have a license. So all the teachers that are involved in this, and I will say there's not all of them because there's many that are not happy with what's been going on.
I'm positive.
But the ones that are involved, they are overstepping and they are working out a scope of practice. If I do that, I lose my license.
Of course.
There's no excuse for any of this. And the reality is, as much as I can care for a lot of the school board members, I don't understand. This is their job. This is what they were hired to do, to make sure parents and children, all children, are being taken care of in the school. And they have, I've not had any reach out from any of them. I have not heard a word. I've taken my son out of school. Nobody's called me. And I will say, there's a handful of families. There's 6 families right now, and there probably will be more that have taken their children and removed them because of this stuff. And that's not 6 kids. There's more children involved in that. There's probably one family has 5, one family has 1 or 2.
Right.
So there's a few children that have been removed from this school. And at the end of the day, that might be the only way our school district will listen.
They've got to listen at some point, and you're going to need. I think you're going to need a lot more parents to get involved. Is the problem? Is the problem? Do you know, or do you sense that parents don't really care about it as long as their kids are, in school?
I don't think that's it at all.
That they're afraid to get involved?
I think people are afraid.
Okay.
B, I think a lot of people work, or they have family members that work for the school.
Yep.
They specifically get their paychecks through that entity. So the realities are, I can't really say anything. I mean, I've had a few people tell me, well, I work here. I cannot say anything. I can't even make a comment. And I'm not going to judge on that. But I think a lot of families, too, there's another handful that don't dare to speak.
Yeah.
They don't have the voice. They think they don't have the voice, or they think they don't have the right.
Well,
they have the right. These are their children. We parents need to advocate for our children. And if the school refuses us, we need to continue to advocate and do what's best for our children. My son could not stay in that toxic situation any longer. I weren't letting it. I weren't going to allow it.
Good for you.
But that was the only option I had. And it wasn't an option. It's like asking a parent, do you want to eat or do you want to drink?
Right.
Well, you don't have an option.
Yeah.
My son will be educated, but he will be educated under my terms.
There you go. In fact, I had a guest on yesterday, a guy, Doc Green from Texas, who ended up taking, his son was having trouble in school. He took him out of school, and he was able to put him into a private school where the kid excelled. And he said, if you can do it, take your kids out of public schools, because this is just a symptom of the problem, unfortunately. And I'm glad you are a voice for it, because I think this is happening all over the place, not just in your town, but all across Maine, and obviously all across the country. People are seeing this.
I'm afraid if we don't stand up and speak now and use our voice, I always tell the kids, you have a tongue and there's a reason you have one. Use it.
Right.
If we choose not to, we will lose that freedom as well.
That's absolutely right. And the time has come, and I've been saying this, and Doc Green, again, echoed it yesterday. The time has come to come out of your shell and speak up against the mob, because that's exactly what these people are. They are part of the mob. We're talking with Amie from Dover Foxcroft, a local school, Settamocha Middle School, schooling children, their mental health, teaching them the different genders, cisgender and transgender and this gender and that gender, and putting posters up from out Maine. Are those posters still hanging on the wall there?
Yes.
Really? So
and to my knowledge, there may be more posters hung up, but they're just being very quiet about it. Somebody said that there might be one in the library now.
Wow.
And of course, they did hang up other little posters, like a little bit like a BLM kind of feel. And I don't know if you understood this, but I think the 8th grade is getting hardest pushed with all of this. And I'm not sure if it's throughout all of Maine that the history and the social studies program are all being updated. So I would definitely tell everyone, you need to call your school and you need to advocate for your kids, and you need to find out what they are teaching in social studies.
I will do a little research. And
our
I will.
8th grade social studies teacher is actually hitting on the LGBT history, and he's also getting into a little bit of like Black Lives Matter stuff for history this year. And that's specifically why some of the 8th grade parents pulled their kids.
Interesting. See, not knowing what they're teaching, to teach that it is a part of what has happened, I think is, it's going to be part of history, whether it's good or bad, just like everything is.
Sure.
But to teach as in indoctrinate that this is social justice. And it sounds to me like a lot of schools are doing this. This is a social justice movement and it's righteous, and it's not. It just isn't. And that's indoctrination.
Well,
and
the
that's
other part of
wrong.
that is they're not teaching both sides of the coin.
Right.
You know,
Correct.
they don't teach about Blue Lives Matter.
Right.
Right. And they don't touch on that stuff. But
Interesting.
they're only touching on certain things that they want kids to know socially. And they're expecting them to accept it.
That's unforgivable. I'm going to read some of this overstepping teacher to parent. Now, is this the flyer that's going to be handed out?
This is.
Okay. Now, this under the overstepping from teacher to parent section, it says inappropriate inappropriate posters, signage, flags, etc. within all age groups. Teaching focus on gender and mental health instead of academics. Political, moral, and ethical belief sharing by faculty and staff regularly. That should never happen.
Nope.
Discouraging or refusing parental choice and consent for non-curriculum material and more. And enforcing inclusion by exclusion. How about that? Whoever wrote that.
She's amazing.
Right on.
I love it.
Now, under what's been happening, this is very disturbing. This is going on Sedamocha Middle School in Dover Foxcroft. Non-curriculum teaching and focus, dismissing, correcting, and even discipline to those who disagree appropriately.
Right.
Non-age appropriate content in public areas. Inappropriate questionnaire sent out without prior parental consent to the fifth.
And that was the 5th grade questionnaire that I was telling you about. And what it was is supposed to tell the kids if they're liberal or, I think it was either like Republican or Democrat or whatever. It was supposed to give them a spectrum of understanding who they were. And it actually stated on there about abortion for 5th grade.
5th grade.
Yep.
This is before I had the birds and the bees in school, and
Exactly.
they're teaching about killing babies, murdering babies for 5th graders.
Yep.
Wow.
And I guess one of the kids didn't know like what that meant because they'd never heard the word.
Of course they
Another
hadn't.
child then told them what it was.
Unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. Opening doors to poor little kids' minds that are so
Unbelievable.
young, 10 years old. They do not need to know this stuff. Why are we asking them to find out who they are, who they're going to vote for when they're 18 years old?
That's wrong.
We all change.
That is so
I've
wrong.
changed, that's the way of you grow, you learn things.
Yeah. So was this questionnaire that went out to the 5th graders there at Sedamocha and Dover Foxcroft, was it slanted to sort of skewed to push the kids toward the more leftist agenda, or did it seem at least somewhat objective and impartial?
I don't even, I personally don't know. I don't have a 5th grader. I think when I looked at that, what I understood was they're just giving them words. I think a lot of this goes back to that. A lot of it goes back to we're just desensitizing words and teaching kids how to say them.
Wow.
They may not understand them yet, but we're putting them in their dictionary, right?
Unbelievable.
And the kids are learning a little bit at a time, so it desensitizes them. So when it gets to time for them to tell them more, they're ready to take in more. That's my opinion.
When my kids were in 5th grade, they'd come home with their daily spelling list. Spell complain, spell I don't know, political, spell. Right. What do they come home with papers like spell abortion,
right?
Spell transgender. I mean,
sure. I'm afraid that will be the next.
Wow.
That's not happening today. At least we don't know it.
Right.
And I think you said it well the other day, but I think COVID has had its moment, correct? It's kind of made everybody's life miserable.
Yes.
And the reality is, even though it has been horrible, it has shown light on some things that us parents may not ever have known before.
It's been a wake-up call.
When this all came out, one of the moms actually said, the one that wrote the poster for us, she said, they've been asking these kids these questionnaires for a long time.
Wow.
Who do you think you are? And I
Wow.
think it's all on like a computer screen, so we never saw it. And she goes, "Oh, I knew that they were doing that. I had no idea they were doing that. And I don't even know where this information goes. Like,
Right.
what's the
Right.
purpose?
What is the thank you. What is the purpose? Is
It's
this
not.
is this
I
going to
want my kids to learn math. I
right?
want them to be good readers. I want them to learn things. My child doesn't need to be indoctrinated in these things.
No, it's none of any of the faculty's business where your fifth grader stands politically, and what
Right.
it is, it's a backdoor way to find out where the parents stand politically, so they know how to reprogram your child into their way of thinking, and it's insidious, and it's wrong, and it's immoral, and it's out there. Thank you, Amie.
Yes. It's very sad.
Unbelievable. This has
Yeah.
got to stop.
I agree.
We will bring all the light to this
And-
weekend, and I encourage other parents and other schools even to let us know. We'll be your
I think
voice.
if we all stood together, Maine, we would change. You know, look at the outcome in the election. Up here, District 2, we know where we stand.
Right.
And that doesn't mean we have to be cruel or insensitive to others.
Of course
I have
not.
no intention in that.
Right.
And the whole point of all of this, all I ever wanted was for my son to be included, not excluded. All I wanted was an opt-out button. They would not give me that. They refuse me. They will not speak to me. Oh yeah, we're allowed for the 15 minutes. But how did their little pet project get put on the school board agenda? That got approved. It knew it was approved before it even went in.
Unbelievable.
So, I mean, if us parents do not use our voice and connect with one another and start talking to our neighbors and start asking our children, what are you being taught today? And I'm not saying micromanage, but our kids do not understand that teachers are teaching out of the realm of where they should be.
Right.
Because we have taught kids and publicly, and we want them to be respectful, and we tell them, this is your teacher. The teachers are supposed to take the place of us as teachers,
Right.
but not as mothers, or as
Absolutely.
fathers. And they have stepped over that line.
They have stepped way over that line.
And if we do not get our voice and we don't come together as a group and say no more, it doesn't even have to touch. Some of the parents said at our little meeting that, you know, they may agree that it should be taught, the whole thing should be taught, not just parts of what the school wants to teach. They said, I don't necessarily have a problem with that, but I wouldn't say it's a religious thing. But the reality is it really isn't. It comes down to these kids are 12 years old. Well, my son is 12. You know, fifth grade is 10. And there comes a time when you say, this is just not appropriate for the age. We don't even have to get into the religious part.
Right. Well, you have kids all over the country who can't find certain states or certain countries on a map, who can't read a book. It's an epidemic of kids going into college who read at a fourth grade level, but they know every gender there is to know.
Well, someone said it's pretty sad our kids can't read fourth grade level, but they can take a gender test and ace it.
Yeah, absolutely. And not
There's
only
a problem.
that, and they can tell you when the world's going to end if man doesn't get rid of fossil fuels. They can tell you all that. But so the teachers are not teaching fact, they are teaching opinion, and that is not teaching, that is not education.
No, they're teaching out of the realm of reality.
Right.
It's not okay.
They're teaching their beliefs. They're pushing their beliefs on
so
others.
We have been having, so some of the parents had pushback with I'm not sure if it was superintendent or rather the principal, but they keep saying that, and of course we can't be in this school because we're in COVID, right?
Right.
They keep saying teachers aren't allowed to sit there and speak about these things in class. They're supposed to send these students down to the guidance office. They don't send the kids down to the guidance office. They're more than happy to answer. And I can say that with firm belief because my child was taught something in sixth grade about this stuff that was not appropriate. And it's not okay.
Good for you.
And what I mean by that is supposedly a student asked about transgender and what that means. And that this guidance, it's not the same one that's there today. I will say that. This guidance counselor, I'm sure she was maybe taken by surprise or maybe not. She gave information that my sixth grader could not handle.
Wow.
And for me as a parent, I was beyond angry. I wrote to her and I told her, you have no permission to speak to my children. I do not want you even near my children. You have scared my kid for the rest of her life.
Good for you.
It's not okay. Our kids need to be children. When I was that age, I was climbing trees and playing in the backyard with my cousins.
Right.
This is not okay.
What? They're trying to make them into adults that are
Right.
in their own image, and it's that
Right.
that to me is a religion. They cry
I
about.
believe you're right. It's the religion of me.
Yeah, they cry about separation of church and state. Well, this flies right in the face of
It
what
flies
should be
in my
allowed.
face, and I think you also said that. Like that's when they're hitting your nose.
Exactly.
You
Yep.
are right. They're
Yep.
poking a bear, and I'm a mama bear.
You
I
are.
don't like it.
You're a good mama bear. I love.
Aw.
I think you're
Well,
a
I
great.
know some might not agree, but I'll be honest. We have to stand and we have to advocate for our children.
Right.
And at the end of the day, that is what God gave me. That is my right as a parent. And this school and this world and this government, they will not take that away from me.
I can tell you, my wife would be your biggest cheerleader.
Good.
And,
I bet we could be good friends.
I'll let her hear this.
We'll have to have coffee someday.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would love that. Maybe during the Whoopie Pie Festival, if that ever comes back. Well, listen, we got to run, Amy. We're running out of time, but I really appreciate your call and keep us updated. I want to talk to you again.
I will definitely keep you updated, and I thank you for your time, too.
And
It's been very helpful.
Well, good.
We did have one parent did show up at the last board meeting because she heard our interview.
Good.
So that made me feel really good.
Great.
That we made a difference.
Let's get more out there, Amy.
I agree.
All right,
Thank you, John.
Thank you,
my
my
friend. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That's fantastic. We need more parents who are that engaged. That's what parenting is. That's what parenting is. It's being engaged. It's being your support system for your child. They're your responsibility, not the school's. Don't let the school usurp your decision making.